The rain pounded the windshield like the world was weeping with him. Jack gripped the wheel of his rundown pickup, headlights barely piercing the curtain of water ahead. Another job interview, another, we'll call you. His clothes still damp from the waiting room chair, his wallet empty except for a photo of his daughter. In the back seat, 6-year-old Lily slept soundly, her tiny hands clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. Jack glanced at her in the rearview mirror, a mixture of love and sorrow in his eyes. She was the only thing he had left. After losing his wife 2 years ago, everything else seemed to slip away, the house, the job, the savings, even his confidence. But not her. Never her. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel as he turned down the familiar, winding road toward their cramped one-bedroom rental. The windshield wipers squeaked in rhythm, a sad metronome to the soundtrack of his failing life. Every day felt like a race against despair. He couldn't let Lily see how close he was to giving up. The heater coughed weakly, barely warming the truck's cabin. Jack exhaled slowly, watching the fog bloom on the glass. He didn't know how much longer he could keep this up. The world had grown cold and indifferent, but he wasn't ready to quit. Not for her. Not yet. And just when he thought this night couldn't get darker, something on the side of the road caught his eye, something that would change everything. As Jack rounded the bend, his headlights swept across the dense trees lining the narrow road. Through the blur of rain and shadows, something white flickered in the corner of his vision. He slammed the brakes. The truck skidded slightly before stopping on the muddy shoulder. His heart pounded, not from fear, but instinct. Something was wrong. He left Lily sleeping and stepped into the rain, boots sinking into the soaked earth. At first, he thought it was a scarecrow or maybe a mannequin, but as he drew closer, the truth hit him like ice. A woman stood there, soaked to the bone, chained to a tree. Her once elegant bridal gown was torn and filthy, her feet bare, her arms trembling. Her face was streaked with mud and tears, yet her eyes, wide and haunted, locked onto his with a silent, desperate plea. Jack froze, disbelief twisting in his chest. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice almost drowned by the rain. She didn't speak. Didn't move. He looked around, no car, no house, no sign of anyone else. Just her. Alone. Abandoned. His own troubles, the unpaid bills, the empty fridge, the crushing weight of being a single father, suddenly felt small. Whoever she was, whatever happened, she needed help. And Jack couldn't walk away. He took off his coat and gently draped it over her shivering shoulders. "You're safe now," he whispered, not yet realizing that rescuing her would end up rescuing him, too. Jack didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. After cutting the chain with an old rusted tool from his truck, he brought the stranger home. Wet, silent, and visibly exhausted. Lily stirred when they entered, rubbing her eyes, but said nothing as Jack gently laid the woman on the couch and wrapped her in blankets. She was barely conscious, whispering only one word before drifting off, "Eliza." Their home was small, cramped, really. Peeling paint on the walls, a fridge that hummed too loud, a space heater that only worked when it felt like it. Jack had no business taking in anyone. But something in Eliza's eyes, raw and broken, had cut through his own pain. He couldn't turn away. The next morning, she sat at the kitchen table, still silent but alert. Jack offered coffee. She nodded, hands trembling slightly as she took the cup. Over the days that followed, she spoke little, only answering questions with short, cautious replies. But she helped, quietly folding laundry, fixing a wobbly cabinet door, even sewing up Lily's torn stuffed rabbit without being asked. Lily took to her first. One morning, Jack found them on the floor playing with crayons, Lily giggling as Eliza shyly smiled. It was the first time Jack had heard that sound, real laughter, in months. The air in the house began to shift. Less heavy. Less sad. Jack didn't understand it yet, but something fragile and healing had begun. Eliza wasn't just surviving, she was bringing pieces of their broken home back to life. It was late. Lily had gone to bed hours ago, and the house was wrapped in that deep, heavy silence only night can bring. Jack sat at the small kitchen table, nursing a cup of lukewarm tea. Eliza stood by the window, watching the wind stir the trees. Then, softly, she spoke. "I was supposed to be married that day." Her voice cracked like a dry branch. Jack looked up, his heart tightening. "I didn't love him. Didn't even know him. My family said love was a luxury. They called it duty, honor." She turned, eyes brimming with pain. "I ran. They found me. Said I had brought shame. So they chained me. Left me there to think about what I'd done." Jack swallowed hard. Anger and heartbreak swelled inside him. He had no words at first. Just sat there, stunned by the cruelty. "I thought no one would ever stop," she whispered, staring at the floor. "That maybe I didn't matter enough to be saved." Jack stood slowly, walked over, and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You were never too lost," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You were waiting to be found by someone who saw your worth." Tears fell freely then, hers first, then his. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. Not pity. Not rescue. Recognition. Two broken souls, beginning to believe that maybe, they still deserved something beautiful. 1 year later, the little house was still small, but now, it overflowed with warmth. Morning light streamed through clean windows as laughter echoed from the kitchen. Jack stood at the stove flipping pancakes, his once weary face now lit with quiet joy. Across the table, Eliza helped Lily braid her hair, her touch gentle, her smile easy. Jack had a steady job now, working maintenance at a local school. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and gave him pride. Eliza, once a woman silenced by shame, had become a fierce voice for others. She volunteered at a local shelter, helping women escape situations like hers, her story a lifeline for those on the edge of giving up. Lily beamed every time she introduced her. "This is my mom," she'd say proudly, as if the title had always belonged to Eliza. And maybe, in all the ways that mattered, it had. That night, after Lily fell asleep, Jack and Eliza sat on the porch, hands entwined, watching fireflies flicker against the dark. They didn't talk much, they didn't have to. Because they knew. They were never meant to save each other. They simply chose to love, even when broken. And in that choice, they found something unshakable. Voiceover. Sometimes, the broken save the broken. And when love is given freely, even by those who have nothing, it comes back as a miracle.